Hi, and good day. My name is Jexter Backus, and welcome to TechWiz Club, where tech magic happens. In Module 2, we're going to make a simple but super exciting game using Scratch. What is Scratch? Scratch is a fun and easy to use tool for making games, stories, and animations. It's made especially for kids, but even advanced creators use it too. With Scratch, you can bring your ideas to life and create your own cool projects. To start working with Scratch or creating games with it, we need to download the application. There are two types of applications, the online version and the offline version. I think it's better to use the offline version. It's more reliable because even without the internet, you can still work on your Scratch projects. To do that, let's open a browser. In the Google search engine, type Scratch Gaming Software Download. You'll see Scratch MIT in the search results. This is the official website, so make sure you only download from here. If you download from other sites, you might accidentally get a virus. So always stick to the official Scratch website. Once you're there, look for Download the Scratch app and click it. If you're using Windows, click Windows. If you're using Mac or Android, choose the right option for your device. Since I'm using Windows, I'll click Windows. After that, it will take a moment. You'll see Get It from Microsoft. Click it, and it will take you to the Microsoft Store. In the Microsoft Store, you can download Scratch. I already have it downloaded, but let's click Download and wait for it to finish. Once the download is done, you'll usually find it in your Downloads folder. If you don't see it right away, just go to this PC and click Downloads. When you find Scratch, double-click it to start the installation. Then, let's wait for it to install. Once the installation is complete, you can find Scratch using the search bar on your computer. Just type Scratch, and you should see Scratch 3 appear. Click it to open, wait for it to load, and there you go, you're ready to start. This is the Scratch interface. We're going to talk about its basic layout, or actually, it's so simple that it's easy to understand. Let's start by checking out some of the basic parts of the Scratch UI, user interface. The first thing you need to know is the File menu. In the File menu, you can start a new project, save your work, or open something you worked on before. Then there's Edit, but we don't need that right now, so we'll just skip it. Down here, we've got three tabs: Code, Costumes, and Sound. Let's start with the Code tab and see how it works. In the Code tab, you'll see different categories like Motion, Looks, Sound, Events, Control, Sensing, Operators, Variables, and My Blocks. Motion is all about moving the objects you've created. I won't go too deep into its features for now, but it handles everything related to movement. Looks is used to change how your characters, objects, or assets appear in the game. It's what you'll use to control their visuals. Sound is pretty straightforward. It makes your game more exciting with background music and sound effects like running, walking, shooting, explosions, or even eating. Sounds bring your game to life. Next, we have Events. Think of events like triggers that make something happen. For example, hooray! It's my birthday today. Since it's your birthday, you'd expect a party, right? Or it's a school day. That means you wear your uniform and wake up early to get ready. Events set things in motion based on what's happening. So that's basically what events are all about. Now let's talk about control. Think of it like controlling a remote control car. You can move it forward, turn left or right, move backward, or even make it jump. That's how control works. It manages the actions and movements in your game. Next is Sensing. This one's all about detecting things. For example, if your character hits a wall, maybe it's game over. Or if you're making a cat and mouse game, Sensing can detect when the cat catches the mouse, and then you can give the player a point. So that's Sensing. Now, let's move on to Operators. This one is all about math and logic. For example, if your cat is more than 10 steps away or farther than 3 meters, then something specific should happen. It's like saying, okay, 10 minus 5, if the answer is greater than 5, then do this. Operators help you compare numbers, do calculations, and make smart decisions in your game. As you can see, operators are pretty basic. You've got plus, minus, dash, equals, divide, slash, and comparisons like greater than less than equals, and logical stuff like and, or, and not. We'll dive deeper into these later, but for now, that's the gist of it. Variables come from the word variety, meaning they can change. The value inside a variable isn't fixed, it can be different every time. Think of a variable like a container. First, you fill it with water. Later, you might replace the water with juice. Next time, you could put soda in it. That's how variables work, they hold different values that can change whenever you want. So values like numbers are examples of variables. You can change a variable from 1 to 10 or 1 to 200, totally up to you. That's why they're called variables, because they can vary anytime. Now for my blocks, we'll dive deeper into that later. It's a bit more advanced, but don't worry, we'll get there. So that's it for the code tab. But before we move on, down here at the bottom, you'll see add extensions. These are cool little features you can add to your game, like music, pen tools, video sensing, text-to-speech, translation, and even Makey, a tool for creating fun physical controls. But since we're just starting out, we won't cover these right now. So that's everything you need to know about the code tab for now. Now let's move on to the costumes tab. This tab is all about customizing your art. If you want to create a cat, you can draw it here. If you already have some downloaded images or sprites are just images with transparent backgrounds, you can edit them right here too. We'll dive deeper into how to use all these tools when we start editing images and sprites later. You can change how your character looks, add cool effects, or even create something entirely new. It's where the magic of design happens. So that's what a sprite is. Now let's check out the sound tab. This is where you can add sound effects and background music for your character or game. Want your cat to meow? Or maybe add some epic background music? This is the place to do it. We'll explore this tab more deeply when we're actually building our game. For now, if you want to listen to any sound, just hit the play button and check it out. Pretty cool, right? Alright. That's the sound of a cat, meow. Now, if you want more sounds, you can click here on Choose a Sound. You can even record your own sound or go for a surprise sound. I'm not totally sure what surprise means, but hey, it's worth a try. You can also upload your own sounds if you've got something recorded. And if not, no worries. Scratch has a ton of sounds ready for you to explore. We've got alert sounds, animal sounds, effects, space-themed sounds, sports sounds, basically, whatever vibe you're going for. Want a cat meow? How about some cool space effects? We've got that too. So yeah, most of the basic sounds you'll need for your game are already here. But if you want to get fancy or go advanced, you'll have to download your own sounds. Don't worry, we'll cover that later. So that's pretty much it for this tab, the code, costumes, and sound sections. Now, let's move on and check out the UI layout on the right side. Alright. Now let's check out the UI on the right side. But before we dive into that, let's switch back to the code tab. You'll notice we have two icons here, a green flag and a red circle, which I guess is supposed to be a stop button. Honestly, this red circle feels more like a record button, right? A square would make way more sense for stop. But anyway, just remember, the green flag starts your game, and the red circle stops it. Alright. This part is super important, but we'll keep it simple. First, head over to the Events tab. You'll see something like when green flag clicked. This block is like a trigger, it tells the game what should happen when you hit that green flag. Let's try something. 1. Drag the when green flag clicked block into your workspace. 2. Then go to the Motion tab and grab the Move 10 Steps block. 3. Snap it below the green flag block. Now, when you click the green flag, you'll see your character move 10 steps. But wait. It only moves once and then stops. Why? Because we haven't added a loop yet. Loops let things repeat over and over. Let's fix that. 1. Go to the Control tab. 2. Grab a forever loop and wrap it around the Move 10 Steps block. But instead of 10, let's change it to 1 to make it move slower. Now when you hit the green flag, your character will keep moving until you press the stop button. Once it stops, you can drag the character anywhere on the white screen. But remember, you can only move it inside this big white area, not on the buttons or other parts of the screen. Let's try it again. Click the green flag. And watch it go. It keeps moving one step at a time forever until you stop it with the red button. And that's how they go. Fun, right? Alright, the next thing is about the stage. This is the stage area where your game runs. This stage is where all the action happens when you run your game. Under the stage, you can add and manage multiple sprites. Let's create a new sprite, like a bat. You can move the bat around on the stage by clicking and dragging it. See how you can place it wherever you want? That's how the stage works, it's the space where your sprites interact in the game. Now, below the stage is the sprite list. Every sprite has its own code. When you click on a sprite, you'll see its code on the left side. For example, if you click the cat sprite, you'll see the code we made earlier. But if you click the bat sprite, it doesn't have any code yet because we haven't added anything for it. If you want the bat to move just like the cat, you can copy the cat's code. Simply drag the code from the cat into the bat sprite. Now, the bat has the same code as the cat. When you click the green flag to play, both the cat and the bat will start moving together. Now, let's talk about the sprite settings below the stage. Each sprite has its own name and position. For example, the cat sprite is named cat, and the bat sprite is named bat. You can change a sprite's position by adjusting the X and Y values. If you set X and Y to 0, the sprite will move to the center of the stage. Try it, set the X and Y to 0, and you'll see the sprite snap to the middle of the screen. The direction tells which way the cat is facing. If you want the cat to face down, you can set the direction to point downward. Scale is how big or small the cat appears. If you lower the scale, the cat will shrink. If you increase the scale, the cat will grow bigger. For example, if you set the scale to 50, the cat will be smaller. If you change it to 200, it will become much bigger. Let's set the direction back to 90 degrees, which makes the cat face to the right, and the scale to 100, the default size. That should make it look normal again. Alright, let's talk about how to create a sprite before we move on to coding. A sprite is an image with a transparent background that you can use in your game. The cat and bat we used earlier are examples of sprites. There are a few ways to create or add sprites. 1. Choose a sprite, select from the built-in sprite library. 2. Draw your own sprite, use the built-in editor to create something from scratch. 3. Upload a sprite, use a sprite you've downloaded from your computer. For now, let's start by choosing a sprite from the built-in library. You can click the Choose a Sprite button and select any sprite you like. Ready to try adding one? If you want to choose a sprite, you have a lot of options to pick from. There are different categories like animals, people, fantasy, dance and music, sports, food and fashion, letters. Some sprites even come with animations. For example, let's take the bat. If you add the bat sprite, you'll notice it has built-in animations. To see its animations: 1. Click on the bat sprite. 2. Go to the Costumes tab. 3. You'll see that the bat has 3 different costumes, or frames, for its animation. These costumes can be used to create an animated flying effect. Alright, so since we have 3 bats here, let's say you want to animate them. You might notice there's no play button in the Costumes tab to see the animation. But don't worry, we can make it work by writing some code. First, we'll go to the Code tab and use the forever loop to make the bat change its appearance repeatedly. Let's remove the Move 10 steps block since we don't need the bat to move this time. Instead, we'll change how it looks by switching costumes. 1. Let's remove the bat from the sprite list. 2. Click Choose a Sprite so we can add a new bat. 3. Look under the Animals category and click on the bat sprite. Now, let's add some code to the bat. Here's what we'll do. 1. Drag the When Green Flag Click block from Events. 2. Add a Forever Loop from Control. 3. Under Looks, find Next Costume and put it inside the Forever Loop. This will make the bat switch between its 3 costumes. Try it by clicking the green flag. Now, when we play this, you'll notice that the bat is flying or animating really fast. To fix this, we need to slow it down by adding a wait block. The wait block is under control, so drag it into the loop right after Next Costume. This block will make the animation pause before switching to the next costume. Let's set the wait time to 1 second and test it. That feels a bit too slow. Let's try something faster, change it to 0.3 seconds. Still too slow. How about 0.1 or even 0.05? That looks better. You can adjust the time until it feels just right for your animation. So now we have a forever loop that changes the costumes one by one. It waits for 0.08 seconds between each change before repeating, which makes our bat animation look smooth. This shows how the sprites are working as expected in the animation. Next, let's try something fun. How about we create a simple bouncing ball and see how it moves around the stage? That will give us a better idea of how to control objects in our game. Alright, let's create our own sprite, a simple bouncing ball. Here's how we do that. 1. First, we need to create an empty sprite. 2. Click the Choose a Sprite button, and then select Paint to draw your own sprite. 3. Once the Paint editor opens, let's leave it blank for now or draw a basic circle to represent our ball. We'll set it up to start bouncing around the stage in just a moment. Let's not change the resolution or anything else. What we'll do here is just paint a simple bouncing ball. 1. First, click the Circle tool in the Paint editor. 2. Next, drag to draw a circle on the canvas. This will be our ball. 3. Keep it simple, like a nice round ball shape. Alright, so this is our first sprite. Now we're going to duplicate it. 1. To duplicate the sprite, right-click on the sprite and select Duplicate. 2. Now we have a second ball. 3. Click the new ball and drag it down a bit so it's not on top of the first one. To move the ball, we need to use the Select tool. 1. Click the arrow icon, the Select tool. 2. Now, click the ball to drag it down. 3. Hold the Shift key while dragging if you want to keep it moving in a straight line. If you don't hold Shift, the ball can move in any direction. This helps you keep the ball perfectly aligned if you want it to stay straight. By holding Shift, you can lock the ball's movement in a straight line. This helps keep it aligned with the direction you want. Hold Shift, then left-click on the ball and drag it down. Notice how the ball stays locked on the Y-axis, up and down direction. Move the ball down to where you want it. Let's say somewhere here. Now, right-click the ball and duplicate it again. Drag the new ball further down, keeping it aligned. Great! We're building a nice sequence of balls, perfectly positioned for the next step. Alright. Now we have a sequence of 8 balls that look like they're creating a falling and bouncing effect. Let's summarize what we did. 1. Duplicate the ball and move it down. 2. Repeat the process to create more balls, moving up and down, to simulate a bouncing motion. Now, we have 8 balls forming our bouncing animation. To make it work, we need to add code to animate it. Since we already created code for the bat, we can reuse that code. Drag the bat's code into the bouncing ball sprite, and it will use the same animation logic. Let's go to the Code tab and see how it runs. When we press play, we should see the ball animating just like the bat did. So now our sphere has a code. When we click play, you can see a simple bouncing ball. The sprite editor in Scratch is great for simple animations, but it's not the best for creating detailed sprites or advanced animations. There are other tools you can use to design better animations, but for now, this editor is perfect for beginners. Next step, let's learn how to import sprites into Scratch. Alright. To import sprites, you'll need to check your project folder. If you haven't downloaded the project folder yet, don't worry. You can download it using the link below. Once you have the folder, we'll walk through how to import your sprites into Scratch. Once you download the project folder, you'll find a Module 2 folder. Inside that, look for Scratch and then Lesson 1. In this folder, you'll see all the assets we'll use for our project. I've added several assets to this folder, but for now, we'll focus on the player and the run animations. Here's how we can do that. 1. Create a new sprite by selecting Paint. 2. Click Costumes, then choose Upload Costumes. 3. In the Assets folder, select the first file, hold Shift, and click the sixth file to select all 6 sprites. 4. Once uploaded, you'll see 6 costumes for your sprite: Costume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we have all the frames for our animation. We can now delete the first costume because we don't need it anymore. Our sprite is ready. You don't need to worry about resizing it here in the costume editor. We can easily scale it in the game using the Set Size block. For example, you can set it to 300%, but 500% might be too big. Let's stick with 300% for now. By the way, is it a raccoon or a fox? Maybe it's a fox. Now that we have our sprite, we're ready to animate it using code. Let's start by clicking the bat sprite since it already has an animation. All we need to do is drag its code over to our fox sprite. Next, let's rename our sprite to something simple like Fox. To do this, just click on the sprite name in the sprite UI and type Fox. Now, when we press the green flag, you'll see that our fox is already moving. In the next step, we'll learn how to control the fox using the keyboard. Alright. Before we change the stage, since our current one is just plain white, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Ansimuse. This website offers free assets that you can download and use. The sprites we're using right now came from their asset store, which has lots of cool free stuff. These assets are mainly for Unity, and we'll explore Unity later in the future. For now, I just downloaded the sprites from Unity and brought them into our game. In the future, we'll learn how to dynamically change the background as our character moves. For now, let's keep it simple and change the background to something light from our assets. Here's how. 1. Click the stage. 2. Go to the Backdrops tab. 3. Click the Choose a Backdrop icon at the lower left corner. 4. Select the Upload Backdrop icon. Import a backdrop from our assets, something with a nice blue sky and water. Once it's added, we'll adjust it a bit. Zoom in or out to fit it perfectly into our game scene. Make the backdrop larger to cover the entire stage. There you go. Now we have a clean and calm background for our game. So now we already have a simple stage, and that's it. If you want, you can add another backdrop from the library. There are different categories like fantasy, music, or sports. Let's try the boardwalk backdrop as an example. In the future, we'll learn how to switch between backdrops during the game. But for now, you just need to know how to change it. To keep things organized. 1. Remove backdrops you don't need by selecting them and clicking the trash icon. 2. Keep only the ones you'll use in the game. There you go. Now we have a neat and customizable game stage. Even this icon of Scratch can be removed. So now you have a pretty nice, decent character and a background that is ready to play. For the last thing, I'm going to add just a simple platform with the character here. So for the simple platform, what we can do is upload another sprite. Go to Sprites. Click Upload. And select Platform Log. Once it's uploaded, click Custom, and you can see we already have a platform ready to use. So I think we've scaled our Fox to around 300. It's best to scale the platform as well. There we go. Now we have a simple platform we can use. You can duplicate this platform if you want. For example, just right-click to duplicate it like this. Then, adjust its position. Let's say the Y position of the first platform is set to -30. You can copy and paste that same value for the next platform to align them perfectly. So you can have a nice straight platform by aligning their positions. Alright, I think that's all for now. In our next topic, Module 3, we'll talk about how to make our character move, jump, and do more cool stuff by adding some code. Thank you, and have a good day.